Hello, good sir. Good afternoon.
Hello. Hello. La la la.
Hi, everybody.
I saw that on something. I think ANCAP Barbie was doing something about something about water. Go for war. And that's all I hear
Go
Douglas
a boil
Murray
of
say.
water.
How are you, man?
What are we doing?
I
I
don't
totally
remember.
lost track of where I even am right now.
Dude, my head is fried, my friend. I don't remember where we're at, but we already have 10 people on, so welcome, everybody. Thank you for
Hey,
joining us on a Monday
good
night.
evening.
Good afternoon, good evening. Will I am is on. Thank you, sir. Zach
I
is
am
on.
for I am. Hello.
All right, man.
Legacy
Welcome,
Zach,
welcome.
welcome.
We are now 17 days in, I think, because I can do the math. You said it was 10 last time. I can add 7 to that. It's
Proud
been
of you.
17 days, man. It's been 17 hours and 17 days since
Hey,
Doug
Zach says he
Murray
came to watch
stuck
Dave and
his
Robbie the
ass.
Fire. Screw those guys, man. They don't know anything. They're
They
just a
don't
couple
know
of
anything, man.
comedians.
They have no expertise.
I
No
know.
expertise.
Why would you want to watch two comedians talk about anything?
So welcome everybody. We're woke part 2. Woke right. Hopefully it's the last time. We are sick of it. I have been clipping. We were short. What? We had clipped 9. We clipped 18 for last week. We got to 9 of them. I clipped 19 more this week, and we're not going to get to them, but we're just going to try.
No.
We're just going to try.
We'll probably get through like 5 and just keep talking.
I hope. Yeah. But yeah, you
Yeah.
had some stuff. You're embroiled, sir. You're like
I am
actually
embroiled.
embroiled. So
Yes.
share with us what's going on there.
I did another NCAF yesterday talking about this a little bit. Honestly, right now in this moment, I cannot remember what I talked about. But we're revisiting the woke right because of the Smith versus Murray debate that everyone's talking about, right? All the fallout around it. It's been 17 days, like you said. People won't stop talking about this. There's comments and commentary and stuff all over the place. So we did an episode about this last week. I lost my notes. Yep, we're talking about the woke right again. So where do we leave off? It was with Douglas Murray versus Douglas Murray, right? Where he was saying, "Oh, I really hate this line of argument. The experts. Oh, you have to be an expert. You have to have this lived experience to talk about anything." I think he does the same argument right back at Dave Smith. That's really kind of the place where we butt heads, I think, with those guys. Is that
Totally.
so far so good?
That's exactly where we're at. And in addition, just what's happened since is I'm telling you it's a concerted effort, and we'll get there, but you have something to talk about first. But it's like they all got the call.
Mm-hmm.
They all got the call and they got dispatched. We've seen this on the left where they have the exact same talking point, the exact same. And now we're seeing it very subtly happen, very subtly applied from different angles of expertise from other friends of Joe Rogan that are sliding in his DMs going, "Hey, Joe, I think maybe you're not wrong. No, you're right. But, like a but if and all these things, right? So, like I said, this has been crazy, man. I'm hoping we just put a lid on it and just move forward from here so we can talk about other fun stuff.
Yeah, that was the weird part, right? Is just that the Murray thing by itself just looked like it was supposed to be an intervention for Joe Rogan, right? Okay, Jesse. Maybe the real woke right is just the friends we made along the way.
That's
really
what we are. That's what they're calling us.
Anyway, where was I? Yeah, it was like an intervention for Joe Rogan. Murray came on, kind of discarded Dave Smith's presence at the beginning and was just like Joe, why am I talking to this guy? Joe, why do you have these people like Ian Carroll and Daryl Cooper on your show? They're conspiracy theorists. They're crazy. They're comedians, even though they're not. It's just like he came to tell Joe to his face, hey, you shouldn't be having these people on. And there's a common theme of why.
And it's funny, though, because Douglas Murray has way more tact. And I would think he's more savvy than that. Like, you have met Joe Rogan and you know how fake you are. You think that you can use your fake tactics on someone, and I'm not saying you have to like or dislike Joe Rogan, but I would argue that Joe Rogan seems genuine. If someone were to say whatever, Joe Rogan just seems genuine. And if you're going to attack that with this fakeness, it just so sticks out. And he's like, no, to the point, to your point last week, he made fun of Douglas Murray. He made fun of him. And Joe doesn't make fun of people. He doesn't lower himself to that.
Especially his guests. He'll make fun of people. But yeah, he doesn't like invite someone on and then make fun of them. I have not seen that, except in this case. Joe's just high. That's also true.
He was high at the UFC.
Joe's not this big intellectual guy, right? He's there talking to people. That's all he wanted to do.
Right. Wow.
We've
already got 30 people on, man. Holy mackerel. It's so hot. Thank you so much for joining us again on Monday. On a Monday night, we're here talking about the woke right part 2. It's blown up. It's crazy. And like I said, man, you're embroiled. I'm real excited to hear your little back and forth.
So there's been a huge dust up, right, in the fallout of this. Everyone's getting involved. Malcolm Gladwell did a whole show about a Joe Rogan intervention. Mike Benz did a counter episode to Malcolm Gladwell. Who else has been on this? Gad Sad talking to Douglas Murray. I think we finished off last time. We're going to look at Douglas Murray on Bill Maher's show after the fact. So we'll get there.
Yeah, we're going to do Maher, we're going to do Murray, we're going to do Harris, we're going to do Sad, we're going to do them all, and we're going to find them individually as well. Because, like, once again, we're trying to show everyone what's happening here. This is a specific concerted. This is not an all is, everyone are. This is an IDS. This isn't, but trust me, we're going to share with you where these pieces connect, because it will lead to war. This is the one thing that I think everyone who's watching this whole thing for the last 2.5 weeks it's something about the anti-war group that sided with Trump are now going, what did we do here? That's what we're questioning, I think, right?
Yes. Yeah, exactly. Anti-war is a big part of it, right? And this is still going. One example I wanted to throw out there is Dave Rubin's tweet today. He was commenting on apparently that Pakistan defense minister said that there's a military incursion by India imminent. So it's happening. Apparently, I haven't seen any more details about it. But Dave Rubin's comment on this headline is, have they consulted with any very online comedians about morality yet? I wonder who he's
pulled up somewhere where that can pull up for you. Do you want to share that screen? No. Okay.
I'll just read it. I think people can.
Okay, cool.
Have they consulted with any very online comedians about morality yet? That's his comment. I wonder who he's taking a shot at here.
Yeah.
It's Dave Smith and it's Tim Dillon, because Tim Dillon went on Candace Owens' show to talk about it. I haven't seen that yet,
and he went on Rogan too. He was on Rogan too right after. I did watch Dillon and Owens. And by the way, I want to be Tim Dillon famous, where I can cover my face and my head with a blanket while I boringly read the ads like I don't give a crap.
Yes.
He literally, I don't know how his advertisers allow him to say it the way he does, but I don't know how he could sell anything. There's no way anyone uses /Tim Dillon for anything. There's no way. Anyway, but yeah, to your point, like we're watching this whole counter of this counter, but it's like these other people are being dispatched as a result of this whatever wave that's coming. To your point, Rubin and Peterson and Saad, these are all intellectual dark web guys that were all actually elevated because of Joe Rogan, through Joe Rogan in the first place. That is such, like, we've always called people out for that. Like, how could you call out the people who actually got you there? Like, you can criticize them, but how could you call out like their persona, who they are? They made you, there's some humility there, right?
And to top it all off, Dave Smith started his career as a comedian, an aspiring comedian. So this whole thing is just ridiculous for him of all people to be calling out comedians as non-experts. Like, bro, look in the mirror. uh Legacy Right says, the fact you're not thanking me for the Rumble rant, I don't even know what he's talking about. Do you?
He's yelling at me because I'm in not every window. I see it. He ranted us $5. Thank you so much, Zach. Thank you for the Rumble rant. I'm trying, man. I'm trying to stay in like 20 windows. You have any idea how hard it is to manage this thing? I'm like,
we need a producer, man.
I'm the worst producer. We already got 40 people on though, so this is going great. So once again, can you read again the thing that Dave Rubin just jokingly, just casually calls out? So Pakistan and India are in this turmoil of there was some raid, and then there's going to be some backlash, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes. So Rubin's comment is, have they consulted with any very online comedians about morality yet?
Does anyone remember Dave Rubin, where he came from? Anyone remember? Anyone? Okay. It's crazy, man. Like, and yes. You know what I haven't heard? Have you heard, what's his name? Who's the guy? Oh, man, who's the guy that was going to join the Daily Wire and then didn't? Got in a big fight with them? Was a Disney star way back in the day. Shock with somebody, or I always forget his name.
I don't know.
Anyway,
I don't know.
Some of you'll get us to it.
Yeah.
Anyway, but he's also a problem when I haven't heard him say a word. I haven't heard Matt Walsh say a word, but I've heard Shapiro, I've heard Peterson, I've heard all these people. So,
but the thing is, the opinion wouldn't change. It's not that it's Israel involved, right? Pakistan and India, I'm sure Dave Smith would have the same opinion on that conflict. Who's aggressing on whom? Who's starting the war? Why is there a war happening? What are the factors involved? That has nothing to do with any race or it's not a different morality because it's a different group involved. But that kind of gets us to the woke right stuff, right? So to recap, here's what I have on the woke right. I kind of tried to boil down the definition for people because it gets complicated. So tell me what you think about this. So very simply, it's people on the right who use the same tactics as the woke left. The woke left views everything through the lens of a power mindset, right? Those with power oppress those without it. And on the left, the most common example of this is with Black Americans, right? Every disparity, every time one of them gets treated poorly, it's because of racism. It's because of the systemic racism and the power that white people hold over all of society. And what James Lindsay is trying to say, the woke right is that people are viewing Israel in the same lens as the woke left views white people. So they have the power, and therefore they simply cannot do any good in the world. Where the disagreement with us is, I think, we kind of see it as the opposite, right? James and the people in that circle view Israel as the victim, and therefore they can do no wrong. And that's really the divide. And I could see both situations actually applied correctly to some people, but he's lumping everybody in this category, and it's not quite right.
Yeah. I think it's a really good synopsis. I'd clarify a couple things. One thing I don't understand is what it is they're calling the other what they are.
Yes.
That's another just blatant tag. It's like, you are this. It's like, wait, aren't you? You're doing this. You're doing what you're telling me I'm doing. You're literally doing what you're telling me I'm doing. Right. And it's tactics. And to your point, it's not about even the ideology. It is the tactics of victimhood and the way they manipulate the story to their piece. Is like it's frustrating. It's very frustrating because like we swing through this middle point where we knew that the woke left was telling us that boys are girls. It just wasn't right. There just was not correct. Something was off there. And this clearly was a backlash to that. But now we're getting this other, I lump it in a little bit with the cultural Christianity and all this other stuff. We're going to get there because once we get into Peterson, I got a couple other things that we're going to lump in, some other people there of people he's really close with as well, who seem to be very big Christian fanatics, by the way, you could pretty much, they're one utterance away from Christ is king also, just to be aware.
Yeah, what's up with that, man? Why has Christ is king become such a big no-no?
We'll get there. They called the wagons, man. It's a thing. I'm going down that rabbit hole. So I
Okay.
promise
Okay.
you.
All right.
So where are we at, my friend?
I do have one tweet from James Lindsay just talking about that. He says the woke right talks about Israel exactly the same way that the left talks about Christopher Columbus. So that is the most succinct view into his mindset that I could find. He tweeted that yesterday. The woke right talks about Israel the same way the left talks about Christopher Columbus. So the left talks about Christopher Columbus as a colonizer. He came in and dispatched the indigenous people. And I will say he's not entirely wrong about this.
And he's topical because you heard the executive order, right?
Mm-hmm.
About Trump changing it back to Columbus Day. I think that's probably why he made
Mm-hmm.
that analogy, which, to your point, on its face, without any pushback, that statement has some legs, right? It holds some water.
Yeah, Israel was started as a nation pushing people out of their homes, pushing the Palestinians out of their existing homes. Like, I think hundreds of thousands of them, if I remember right.
Yeah, exactly. So here's some information, just so everyone knows.
Dave Rubin graduated college in 98, started being a comic in 2000, ended in 2007, started podcasting in 2008, all per Wikipedia. Yeah, you could say that Dave Smith's comedy career is also done. He's more of a podcaster than a comedian, in my opinion, but that's just me.
I would agree. But yeah, so we've got all these things that we've got coming up. But before we start that, I've been a foul-mouthed person and I've been trying to get us to be a little more professional. We have over 50 people on. So thank you all for joining. There's some very dedicated, very kind people who have joined us. Thane is one of the gentlemen who has joined us, been very kind to me and joined us over this time. And I drop the F-bomb a lot. So I black out, I go into PTSD mode, and I just start ranting and raving. You guys have seen this happen. I'm going to try to be better. What I'm going to hope, I get 3 strikes. Give me 3, guys. After that, I would like to donate $1 per to each to a charity of Jason's choosing, because we're local, so I'm sure he'll find one close. But what I'll do is every $50 or so, and I'm sure we'll get there quickly, but every $50 I'll just pay it off and then we'll zero it out. So I just want to thank everyone for joining, and I promise I want to do better. I know it turns people off when we start we don't sound professional. We just start yelling at the screen. So we're not here to yell at clouds. We're here to actually share important messages. So thank you for joining us and being patient with us as we get better.
Yeah, you say that, man, but I don't know. I think you're doing okay. I don't mind it, but I guess some people probably do.
And that's the thing with our conversation. I think it's part of the flow. And I am a Carlinite. I think it's part of the the sprinkling in of
Adds a little spice
words,
to the conversation.
Yeah, a little bit seasoning, right?
I never minded cursing, but if you want to do it, I'm all with you, man. Everybody keep track.
Cool.
Mark's got a swear jar. $1 in the jar.
Swear jar, everybody. So let me know when I hit 3, and I'll probably hit them in one rant, and then I'll have to really pay attention for the rest of it. But I'm gonna try to be better, guys. So thank you for checking on me and actually keeping me in check, keeping me like, it's kind of like this is the voluntarism that we kind of talk about, right? Is like someone had an issue with that. I'm not here to offend anyone. I respect the person who shared that I was doing that, so I'm willing to make that change. So thank you again.
Yeah, man. On the topic of comedians, I just gotta say, we should listen to comedians, right? Good ones, because good ones can actually poke holes in these societal beliefs that we have, right? So they are smart people. Okay, they might not know the ins and outs of military tactics in foreign countries, fine, but they are very capable of piercing through this collective narrative that people have of the world. And it could be about anything. It could be about, sex, race, war, whatever. But they're very good at just like, hey, guys, this is ridiculous. And when I say it in this way, you're going to realize how ridiculous this is. So what Tim Dillon and what Dave Smith do is point out how ridiculous things are, how ridiculous it is that we even have billions of dollars going to fund these wars overseas. Why?
Exactly. And And to your point, once again, we clip so many things. I don't know what you kept in and what not until we play them. So if we haven't played this clip, it's in one of the clips that if we can get to, but I do know the question is like, what kind of solutions do comedians have? Is like, you don't get it, man. The comedian finds the problems. The comedian finds the problem. They are not the solver. They are the one who find a way to communicate social, economic, finance, all these issues in a way that you can now take action. That is not their job. They're actually more accurate than the news if you really think about the insight, the pattern recognition. We're talking the good comedians. We're not talking just the slapstickers, We're talking these people with insight. So here's one that bothers the heck out of me. You and I had been talking about it for a week. This is Kurt Metzger, son of a gun. He jumped it, so I had to pounce on it right away. And I'm mad that he made me do this. But here we go.
I came up with an idea for a new coffee shop here in Austin, Jimmy. Now that I got this hat, I've been having a lot of good ideas. It's called You Haven't Been, B-E-A-N.
Oh, for a coffee shop.
You Haven't Been, and there's a Douglas Murray with a press vest.
All right. So on that, before we continue, I just had to share it. Let me see if I can find the screen. It's on here somewhere, but I did it. Now I need your help, Jason, or I don't know. Is WordPress free? I don't know how this works. I know nothing about it, but I did a thing, guys. We
bought the website.
We bought the website. We got Never Bean Coffee. The slogan is you can't talk about it until you've had a sip, unless you've had a sip. But we're going to get there. So Jason and I are going to work. We've got some logos and everything, but leave it to that Kurt Metzger, that darn comedian, to come up with some really awesome ideas. So
ours is better. He said you haven't been. Never been is right. much better. I like it.
Never been, because what do you never been? What do you mean you've never
been to the archives?
All right. So Jimmy's up next, sir. If you want to start that one, or if you want to, what are your thoughts on all that?
Comments. All JLH views. This is about Israel. He says pushing people out of their homes, but also reinstating the Jewish people to their ancient homeland. It's not as if they placed the people in a land where they had no claim. Okay, I'm willing to hear that argument. I don't know the whole history, but there's at least an argument to be had. It's not a one-sided thing.
And to that, I think that's very nuanced. JLH views, to be honest. I just think it's very nuanced. I can say that I was 100% on board with that growing up until not that long ago, to be completely honest. But what I would recommend, I absolutely would recommend it. He's woke right. You might not like him, but Daryl Cooper has a 25-hour podcast. It's a book, guys. It's called Fear and Loathing in the New Jerusalem. And I swear to you, he does not take a side. He is highly nuanced. He always asks, what would you do? And he asks it from both sides. I listened to it twice. It is awesome. I don't know if you got a chance to listen to it, Jason, yet, but
I have not.
Yeah, I would definitely recommend, even if you're just in the background, if you're doing workout or something, hour at a time. I do when I walked, so it worked. But thank you, Jay.
Honestly, I wasn't that interested until this debate happened. And now I'm like, man, I'm gonna have to go listen to it, so I know what I'm talking about.
And I'm very interested in his Jonestown, because he talks about he does like a 30-hour podcast on Jonestown too. So like the guy's well studied. I don't know what you want to call him, expert, all that stuff. But first of all, once again, JLH views, first time on this on our podcast. Thank you so much for joining. It sounds like we might have some countering opinions, ideas, but we welcome you to join us and share yours, because we're not here to shut anyone down. We're here to share all those. Okay. Thank you so much for sharing that as well.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, we can get into Jimmy here, because we kind of played something similar last time. But this is kind of where it seems to be coming to a crossroads. It always leads back to this. So this will be a good kickoff. Yeah.
So as we were doing the show, I came across this over the weekend because it was placed. And to your point, it's very similar, but like, this is kind of the exact point. Remember when Kurt kind of beat around the bush last time? You're like, what is he talking about? This is what he was saying, right? Clearly, but once again, it's Kurt Metzger talk. He needs like a translator sometimes. That guy is weird. But anyway, Jimmy does a little more succinctly. I swear I was going to save this for the end, but when you put it in the front, like alarm bells went off going, that's the right idea. What we're going to do, guys, we're going to show what we think, and then we'll connect the dots the way we see. We're going to show our work. We're going to do it this way. We're not going to here to spoil like, oh, wait to the end. No, we're going to tell you who we think or what we see, and then we'll share why we see that and where we see it connected, if that makes sense. So here we go.
Hey, if you're for deporting people and silencing people and firing people because they're criticizing Israel, guess what? You're the thing you claim to hate. You are the woke left, but you're now the woke right. And I don't go along with I forget what that guy's name is who dubbed the term woke right. He's wrong about that. The woke right is the Zionists, not the people criticizing Zionism. That's the woke right. The woke right makes them the Zionists make themselves the victim. They're the biggest victim, and they need protection. Someday, if the Jewish people in the United States work really hard, they'll be able to ascend the social ladder. You know, right now they're at the bottom, but if they work really hard, maybe they'll be able to become doctors and lawyers and in positions of power inside our government and inside of the media and the banking. And someday, not now, but until then, they need special connections, and they're the woke right.
That's so great, dude. Yeah,
there it is. And I don't know what else to say. Like that is Israel are victimizing the entire Jewish race as a victim class.
Mm-hmm. And maybe someday they'll gain some institutional power. Maybe
maybe the Dershowitzes will become lawyers. Maybe the Epstein will become financial geniuses. Maybe the Weinsteins will become
And this is Dave Smith's point, right? And I don't want to defend him because I don't think he gets everything right, but that's his point, is like Jewish people are not oppressed in America, right? And we're building up all these laws and DEI stuff for Jewish people, deporting people because they're protesting against Israel. Like, these are not an oppressed class in America. If you want to look at the Middle East, yes, they have people around them who hate them. But then you got to start asking why. And where did it start? I don't know all the answers, but it's very silly to say that Jews are an oppressed class in the United States.
And especially in the United States. And once again, anti-Semitism is no longer defined like anti-Semitism was. Congress has redefined it, everybody. It is now criticizing the nation state of Israel. That is part of the definition. And I can't be more clear how silly that is.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, not even racism was criticizing the country of Zimbabwe for its whatever, or Kenya. You know what I mean? Like, I've never even heard that. Criticizing another nation was like, what? So silly. Silly.
Oh, Kenya's government is bad. Therefore, you must think all black people are bad. All Kenyans are bad. No,
right?
It's stupid.
So we got a couple here. Obviously, I am George Carlin. One of those. He's just brilliant. Also loves the cursing of the sprinkling.
Justin, I agree. They're using the tactics they claim to oppose, but I don't know if it's fair to say that if you are the woke right, you're also a Zionist. Yes, that's a very good point.
Very good point. We're Venn diagramming, guys. You're not all this or all that. Look, not all the Jews are Zionists. Not all the Zionists are Jews. Not all the, none of these things, these label things we got to stay away from, because what we're finding is all of our heroes, all of our labeled heroes are not heroes. They're all crumbling. And the reason they're crumbling is because we put them on this pedestal. As Jordan Peterson has this thing that put all these people in order, yet his life is shit. So we can't now, he can't hold that persona. But what you got to do, guys, this is what we're trying to teach everyone. Don't have heroes the way we have them. Look at them as, this is a brilliant person who's severely flawed, just like we all are. But I can take a really great idea that he has, and we can take that and take it forward and say, wow, clean your room. That's really smart, is to make sure that I have myself in order before I go somewhere else. That idea, regardless of Jordan Peterson, who came with that idea, or who shared that idea, or who popularized it, that's okay. Like Andrew Tate, you can take some things from Andrew Tate's life in discipline, the way he lives his life with discipline, not the other stuff, but we can find that. And the problem is we hero and, almost canonize these people, and then they disappoint us, and then they come crumbling down. They're all trash now because we deified them in some weird way, right? So it's on us too to be careful.
We should put the good ideas up on the pedestal, but not the people. People are not attached to the ideas. Yeah.
100%.
On the Zionist thing, I just want to add, yes, you're absolutely right. Not all the woke right is Zionist, right? It's James Lindsay mostly is trying so hard to point out everyone who is anti-Zionist as woke right. And that's why it always comes back to Israel. I don't even want to talk about Israel. I don't really care, other than they're taking our tax money to pay for their shit forever and ever. And what do they do for us? I don't know.
Right. And you can't, I'll be honest, I'm a little sick of you support Hamas. No, because I wouldn't fund them either. But I know who did.
That's the dumbest
I know that
thing.
Israel did. I mean, we have receipts that Israel funded Hamas. So don't even come at me with what you support Hamas. No, I don't. I don't. But this is how we think. We think that peace is prosperous and war is profitable. And we think that through peace and open exchange of ideas and trade and work and labor, that the tyrannical things fade away because we work together. So there's no room. Those things get exposed so quickly because all our eyes are open and we're working together. Like, that's what we're trying to share. And this is correct. Justin is 100% correct. It's not, it's not this whole one side, this piece. The woke right are also Zionist. It's not what it is. But right now, what happened is James Lindsay has attacked the anti-Zionist crowd, who's not anti-Zionist crowd, guys. They're anti-war. They just happen to be anti-Israel war and anti-Ukraine war. You don't hear Israel shunning them for their disagreement with the Ukraine war, do you? You don't hear a single peep about that. Israel going, how dare they talk against the Ukraine war when we are talking about? No, they don't do that. No, they talk about theirs. Why? We're just generally anti-war. We're anti-conflict. We think we can resolve it other ways. So, this is how we are. So Zach has a question as well. So I'll back off, sir.
Zach says, how do we educate people on both sides that the state uses the doctrine of victimhood as a way to dehumanize us as cattle led to the slaughterhouse? Yeah, man, that is the number one question. That's why we're all doing this, I think. That's why I'm doing this, I should say. I don't want to speak for anybody else. The state uses these ideas. Oh, these are victims. We got to go help them. Oh, Iraq has nuclear weapons. They have weapons of mass destruction. We got to go take them out. We got to go take out Saddam Hussein. It's just the same thing over and over. And then you find out, oh, none of that was true. Even people in charge admit to it now. Oh, yeah, that maybe we shouldn't have done that. Maybe Iraq was actually not the place where we should have had a war. And 20 years later, we were still there.
Yeah. And I think even Colin Powell, John McCain, John McCain.
John McCain comes around. You found yourself on the wrong side of the argument.
Yeah. If John McCain comes around, it's not just that brain thing, whatever he had, right? And by the way, that dude had brain cancer for like 6 years and was an acting senator. And we still allow that. Like, we looked at that with Dianne Feinstein and the other one who couldn't even talk, and the other one was like literally dead. Like, they propped her up on the pedestal on the lectern the one time. This is crazy. So we're gonna circle back once again to last week. We over 60 people. Thank you again, everyone, for joining us. Part 2 of this woke right stuff. And once again, we're not cautioning about ideologies here. We're cautioning about tactics. They when they do not address an issue, when they assassinate character, when they use the fallacy of the logical fallacy of authority, when they use the logical fallacy, having been there, expertise, all these things, just be wary. It's not all, like, to Justin's point, it's not all alarms. It's perk your ears up and listen, pay attention, right?
Yeah. From Justin, I don't think we can educate people on each side against that doctrine of victimhood because each side uses it as a way to progress agendas and feel morally righteous. Yeah. On that topic, I just want to say, like, there's a problem with having an ethno-state, right? The Jewish ethno-state of Israel, for example. It doesn't have to be Jewish, but this is one example, a clear example that we can see, right? And you can say, oh, they have other people in there that are not Jewish, but whatever. It's mostly Jewish, and it is specifically a Jewish ethno-state. That was its intention from the beginning. The problem with that is not that it's Jewish. The problem is that it's a state. The problem is that a state will inevitably do bad things to other people. They will steal from people. They will attack other people. And then people that aren't very smart, which is a lot of people, they will see that and they will associate it with Jewish people because it's a Jewish ethno-state. So we have no problem with Jewish people. We have a problem with the state acting inappropriately. And because they do have the power in the situation with Gaza, it is a bigger deal, in my opinion.
And I'll be completely honest. If we want to play a religious game, I'm not that concerned that another pope died.
Nope.
This week. Like, I mean, they're your two largest religions right there, guys. You've got your Christianity, anyway. You've got your Muslim, and you've got, that is not my concern. My concern is how nation states treat other nation states, their sovereignty. And it's weird that how some get along and some don't, and like where these things are starting to crack. You know what I mean? It's just interesting to watch this happen. We'll hit this real quick point or question from Zach, if you may, and then we'll get back to the Mar from last week that we didn't get to.
Yeah, Zach says, why are politicians able to play off positive talking points that result in the opposite effects, which is John McCain and the mass murder of other humans? I'm trying to understand this question.
Let's see.
Why are they able to play off of positive talking points that result in the opposite effect?
I'm wondering if he's talking about like that they have nuclear weapons for our protection, for our safety. I mean, they weaponize our compassion against us is the biggest point, right? Like, to your point is they use our weaknesses. Like, well, we want to feel safe. Well, I guess if we don't go over there, they're gonna come over here. And all Ron Paul said, all he said was, they're over here because we stepped over there. And you're like, duh, this chicken and egg people. But yeah.
And you can go back and forth. Who started what? Who did what? Fuck,
but even playing that game, knowingly playing that game, that the people that we fund as terrorists could also turn on us. The freedom fighters we funded in 1980 would become the tower crashers in 2001. Did you know what I mean? Like, that you even flirted with that because you know what evil is. And that's what states do. They do within their need at the time. And sometimes those things are myopic. And with that, I think bigger mistakes are made, and they're made on larger scales when they involve nation states. So anyway, just a thought.
Well, let's keep going.
All right, so you want to set up this Mar? We finally get to Mar, and
yes, we'll get to Bill Maher, Douglas Murray. By the way, everybody who was talking about against Dave Smith after that debate said that, oh, Dave's talking about it so much. He's running damage control. He's doing damage control. And now Murray is talking about it over and over on these podcasts. So I guess this one's actually a show, not a podcast. But
if I may on that too.
Yeah.
What we're having is Murray, who was in the room at least with Dave, talking about Darryl Cooper and Ian Carroll. And now we have Gad Saad, Dave Rubin, Ben Shapiro, all these other people, Jordan Peterson talking about Dave Smith, who they weren't in the room with Murray and Dave,
And by
that
the
they're
way,
taking aside.
almost never. I think I've seen one or two maybe, but almost none of them will mention Dave Smith's name. They do not want to name him.
And the great thing is, all of them have been responses. So what happened is on Friday, this happens. Dave goes on Saturday. My response to Douglas Murray on Bill Maher. Then Dave Rubin. Then my response to that. Then Constantine. My response. So we've seen Dave address once again all of the issues, and all we've seen is these people attack. I'm still trying to figure out what it is. Still trying to figure it out. But let's get going here, sir, my friend. Let's do this.
The right, clearly, I mean, it's always interesting to see what happens at the point of victory. What do you do with your victory? And if those people on the American right who are now in the ascendant, if they decide that they want to use their point of victory to, for instance, lie about the origins of the Russia-Ukraine war, or lie about the nature of Hamas, or lie about the state of Israel, or lie about history. I mean, the reason I did this pushback was, I mean, you just have to. I mean, you just have to, in my view. It's basic social hygiene. If you've got somebody who's coming along who pretends to be a historian, who then can always do the thing of saying, oh, I actually don't call myself a historian. It's just other people I allow to call me a historian. Like I'm not a car mechanic, but if I kept on being introduced as a car mechanic, I would say, oh, no, you got the wrong guy. So they don't mind it. They don't mind it. They have this slip out. These people that I was trying to call out on Joe's show, they are doing things like Hitler wasn't that much of an anti-Semite. Main problem in the 20th century was Winston Churchill. Winston Churchill was the warmonger. Adolf Hitler wanted peace. And I just, look, it's a matter of social hygiene. Don't feed me this shit.
It's a matter of social hygiene. Don't you understand?
What do you mean? You've never heard that he said that? No, I haven't actually, because he never said any of those things.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is so what you're saying again. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
To Douglas Murray's point, it's not an unfair point. If somebody's out there spouting nonsense, it makes sense to go in and clean it up. Go in and counter the arguments, right? With other arguments. Hey, you're wrong about this because this. Not like you're wrong because you're not an expert. You're wrong because you're a comedian. That when you do that, you ruin your own credibility.
Yeah, 100%. It's interesting. I do want to put this point up once again. We have all different thoughts, ideologies, ideas come on the show. I think the reason people honestly join us is because we are welcoming to all ideas and we want to talk about these. So do you mind just touching on Justin's point here? It is a poignant one.
Yeah, I'll read it. He says, those terrorist groups have also stepped into other countries and attacked them, even when those countries did not step in, as you're saying, America has, so they could still come if we didn't engage. Yeah, they can, and they do, attack other people all the time. They had been doing that before they were funded by the United States, before people were funded by Israel. So yeah, we're not saying those people are good. Like I had somebody replied to some Dave Smith tweet like, oh, Hamas are the bad guys, actually. It's like, you fucking idiot. You fucking asshole. Like, you are not adding anything to the conversation. No one is saying Hamas is the bad guys here. Hey, I never agreed to the swear jar.
No, I know. I'm kidding. I'm totally kidding. I'm totally messing with you.
I'm allowed to. I'm taking over for you, bro.
You could say them for me, please. Please, I'm just done getting yelled at.
Anyway, that pisses me off so much because it's just so stupid. It's so like you're not even on the same topic. Like, we know Hamas is the bad guys. We know. It's just like, can you think for a second? Like, yes, let's stop funding these bad guys. Let's stop doing it. Just someone has to put a stop to this. We can't have endless wars. We can't keep doing this.
Yeah. And you're right, Justin. There's going to be conflicts between groups of people, states, nations, whatever that large group. This conflict's going to happen. But as non-aggression,
yeah, Justin, by the way, you're right. That comment was not from you. It was from Colin Wright. if anyone
Right.
wants to look at
Right. Colin Wright. Oh my God. Remember I started sharing with you, like, who is that guy? Did you go down a rabbit hole or
Yeah.
something?
No, I just happened to see after you said that, I saw his comment on Dave's thing, and I was, oh my God.
It was
I
so
posted a
dumb.
clapping seal gif underneath it, and I was like, good boy. Because just like, what are you gonna do with that?
Right. So to Justin's point, we're not, everyone keeps going, oh, you don't want to fund a side that you think's on the right, you know, the correct side, not the right, the left, or whatever, the correct side. Well, what are you, isolationists now? Guys, there, you don't have to be isolationist if you're not interventionist. Like, those are your binary poles. Those are not where we can swim in the middle, everybody. It's like, once again, this is brought up. You did it to me this morning. So what you're saying is, right? Like, it's like totally. And once
On
again,
purpose.
this isn't to criticize the question. Justin's question, very valid, but it's easy to see how we do it to ourselves, right? Like, I do that at times too. Oh, so what you're saying, all of a sudden you're the 180 degree. No, let me clarify. Non-interventionist does not mean isolationist. We are not interested in giving bullets or armor or any kind of vehicles to a side to assert force on another side. We don't want any of that. That's where we're at.
That's a actual, like, reasonable thing to talk about. Do you think there would ever be a situation where you look across the world somewhere, there's two groups fighting, one of them clearly is the victim, being attacked? For what reason? For not a good reason. Do you think that in that case, it would be good to help arm those guys, to help fund them?
Well, in the real world, it would make sense. In the real world, with the way, our compassion, we're not here for genocides. Like, there are some, we don't necessarily agree with those rules of order, those world rules of order we keep talking about, but they do exist. So we live in reality. So in that case, I don't see one, but yeah, there's got to be a point. There's got to be, right? There's got to be. Now, that said, I would much rather be like, hey, Americans, this country is being oppressed right now. You're welcome to take whatever you have and go over there if you want and help defend liberty and whatever. But we're not an official force. We're not coming as a nation state. We are literally only offering that ability to do so. If people want to grow militias and go overseas, we'll happily help with, outside training. Something like a cultural.
Start a GoFundMe, guys.
What's that?
Israel, whoever the country being attacked, Pakistan right now, start a GoFundMe. If people want to help you, they'll help you.
Yeah. So
make your case.
And I hate to say that, but like that's kind of how that would be ideal for me. Because like I'm sorry, we're pretty protected. We're pretty protected. We have pretty decent neighbors. Okay. We're pretty good. We're good. We don't need to be stepping on other people's. There's no need for us for that. We're not in Europe where there's 18 countries within a size of Texas. You know what I mean? Or whatever. It's like, I would think it's such a different type of philosophy, just with all the resources, different things we have, and how we just view the world,
Yeah. You get down to like collective groups and like, oh, this nation is all one thing, this nation is all bad guys, and when you do that, you're gonna get things wrong, and it's just, it doesn't quite work. We got some good comments though. Justin says, to be fair, Murray's points do hold 25% legitimacy due to his accent. That's 100% true. If you acquire a British accent, you may sound 25% more persuasive.
Make sure it's from the correct town, though. It can't be from Essex or some.
Can't have a Cockney accent.
It can't be from over there. You sound like a stupid bastard. Yes, it must be much more measured, and you got to go down when you talk, because you're like a little dog when I pet you, like a little doggy.
Douglas Murray, I just can't believe you haven't been there.
All right. Do you have another comment up here? We got a lot of people. We got almost 90 people on, guys. Thank you so much for joining us. Which one, Zach's or Justin's? Which one?
Zach's. Let's go with Zach. The point from Thomas Aquinas: we must love them both, those whose opinions we share and those whose opinions we reject, for both have labored in the search for truth and both have helped us in finding it. I love that. That's really good.
Excellent.
It's really good.
You know, I think when we started this literally only a few months ago, like what, December's when our first podcast or something, maybe almost about 4 months ago, it's like, I was angry. Like I'm not nihilistic, but like I was thinking it was just going to burn. But like doing this now, I feel like that, like this phrase, this statement right here, this is what it is. It's like, I'm now finding that I don't agree with everything on this guy, but now I'm starting to be like, well, I'm not falling in love with the guy either when I hear something I like. I'm just going to go, okay, they make a good point, and take it like a measured thing, like not jumping on the bandwagon, then breaking my legs, jumping off, then breaking my arms, grabbing back on. You know what I mean? Like that's what it feels like.
Yeah, that's been such like a revelation for me, and it was a few years ago, really it happened, but just to be able to separate people from ideas and just saying, oh, I really like what that guy said there. That doesn't mean I have to like everything else he says, you know? And if you can separate that, that's going to help your mental health, first of all, just so much. I mean, I think also there are people out there that are not searching for truth. So there are people that are wrong, that are intentionally trying to persuade for not the sake of truth, for the sake of some special agenda, whatever it is.
Hopefully we get to Peterson talking about that. Hopefully we do, because that will get there.
Yeah, let's keep it moving, because we're already an hour in.
I know, and it's crazy, but once again, Justin, this is where the deprogramming happens, man. You're absolutely right. But guess what? Those Kosovoans were the Afghan rebels that were bin Ladenites. Clinton globalized bin Ladenism. 11 of the 19 were in Kosovo or Chechnya or Bosnia or anywhere in that area. 11 of the 19 that flew into our buildings had visited that place and gotten back into the United States. They knew it. They knew it. They were the guy wanted to learn how to fly around but not take off or land. The flight instructor immediately called the FBI. And they're like, yeah, whatever. And they're like, yeah, he's on a list. He's cleared. He's cleared on the list. What list was he cleared on? A guy who was in Chechnya or Bosnia or Kosovo, right? Like, once again, that these things sound great, but that's what led to 9/11. I almost cursed there. That's when 9/11 led to 9/11. The globalizing of bin Ladenism through Yugoslavia, Kosovo, Bosnia, Herzegovina, all those areas. It's Serbia, right? And all those. It's crazy. Scott Horton, all the receipts are there. All of them are there. Like, it's crazy. And a quick thought before I continue. Go ahead if you could.
I want Joe Rogan to get Scott Horton on the show. It's got to happen.
Yes. Okay.
Scott Horton brings the receipts. Dave Smith basically learns everything he knows from Scott Horton, I think. Yeah. So yes, Horton's done thousands of hours of interviews with original sources. There's no way you can say that guy is not an expert. You can make an argument about Dave Smith. I don't care. But yeah, I want to hear people go at it with Scott Horton because he's the guy.
And guys, Justin, I know you're similar in thought to us, man. You totally agree with like so much of this other stuff. Look at Oklahoma City bombing. Go on Scott Horton's show. Go on his radio program. He just did an Oklahoma City bombing thing. He does Oklahoma City, Waco. These are things that we thought were like ATF was good. No, they burned women and children, man. No, Oklahoma City was one guy, Timothy. No, man, they set it up. Like, and it sucks because it does open once you see it. Once you start, like, you really have to look, but it's there. You do. It sucks. But anyway, so let's get on more. Okay. A little more Bill Maher. Okay. And this is the reason I'm going to share this when we'll talk about it once we play it, my friend.
Mm-hmm.
So the chant of free Palestine, free from who, I would like to ask. Do they realize who is really the people who are enslaving the people of Palestine?
If those moronic people had any knowledge, they would say free Palestine from Hamas. At the very least, they do that.
Yeah.
Free Palestine from Hamas. At least.
Only brought that once again, guys. We're connecting the dots. Israel funded Hamas to build them up to counter the PLA, the Palestinian Liberating Authority, or the PLO, the Palestinian Liberation Organization, and the Palestinian Authority, because they were becoming, I don't know if secular's correct, but they were becoming very moderate and not as terroristic in the West Bank. But Israel couldn't have that. They could not have that. So they built up a competing organization because of their terroristic. And then they come back full circle. We knew they were terrorists. Well, then if you really knew they were, if you knew that your babysitter or your bus driver was a drunk driver, if you knew that they were, would you put your baby in that car, in the bus? Like, just ask yourself the simplest question, and the entire narrative has zero legs. It completely unravels.
It's true, man. I mean, I don't know how much. I'm not an expert. I'm legitimately not an expert on this. Like, I cannot explain the situation, so I don't know how much of it is Israel actually trying to defend themselves. I don't know how much is actually just people, them not acting in other people's interests because they want to annex all the land, which they have been doing. So it's suspicious, but I'm open. Like, someone can convince me. I really thought Douglas Murray would come into that debate with Dave Smith and have some good facts, because he seems to be like a pretty smart guy. Like, he seems to know some things. He's been there, right? Like, he should come with a good argument, and he just didn't.
And I thought he would too. But it was the weak spot. Once again, Israel is you cannot on moral grounds defend Israel. So anybody who comes at them with a moral argument can't lose. They just can't right now. It's turned so much. You know what I mean? That's because Israel told us to look. It's not because we did anything. You know, they told us to look at their oppression, and we watched 20,000 women and children getting slaughtered. That's okay. Sure. That sounds like you're being oppressed. And it's not that you're not. I'm just not interested in paying for it. Like, once again, non-intervention does not mean isolationist, right?
Yeah, I mentioned on my ANCAF, and it's coming back to me a little bit now. That Jordan Peterson idea, he said it a few times. Something like, you can find a million ways in your life to describe yourself as a victim, and you're probably right. But then what are you going to do? Like, what does that mean for you?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So there's victims. Yes, there are Jewish people who are victims. Yes, October 7th was a horrible
they were
tragedy.
Attacked. Israel was attacked on October 7th.
Yes.
100%.
And Palestinians, Gazans being bombed, 10, 20,000. I don't know what we're up to now, but all these people being slaughtered who are innocent. Like, you could say they voted for Hamas to control the region, right? But then what does voting mean? Like, people voted here for Donald Trump. If he starts a war in the Middle East, are they responsible for that? Right. I don't know.
Exactly.
I don't think so.
Yeah. That's what it is. And once again, we're at that point, is like, I understand we're in it now, but just like when they accuse the new woke right that's allegedly you and I of not having a solution of how to fix it, what's your solution after again? Oh, no one's left? Oh, okay. Because right now, I don't know if anyone knows this. I don't know if you've watched, but they're systematically starving them to death. They have shut off the food. And like, the number one Geneva Convention is you don't turn off food, power, and water to the civilians. But you know what? When you deem the entire civilization terrorists, regardless of their age or sex, I guess you could do it. I guess they're all 1.8 million terrorists. Is that what we're saying here? Like, is that the claim? Like, does anyone listen to themselves when they hear this? Regardless of your faith, and regardless of your demonstrative need for the Jewish race, which I agree with, by the way, to survive, not only survive, thrive. Ashkenazi are brilliant, brilliant people. And I would want nothing but more Weinsteins and Erics and Bretts all over the place, man. I want them everywhere. But man, this is I don't think this is the way. I just don't think this is the way.
No,
So-
yeah, it does seem to be what they're going for. They are trying to paint all of Palestine, all of Gaza as terrorists, as subhuman, and it's just not right. They're not. Like, even if, which is not right, even if you say that they all support Hamas, that they all want these terrorist actions to happen, it's not because they're just like genetically evil people, right? It's because they grew up in a situation where they're basically imprisoned. They're basically like cut off from having a real free life.
Yeah. And we talked about that last time. 2005, yeah, they've been free since 2005. No, they've been economic sanctions. So here again. This is the point, guys. All of this, because of these guys circling the wagons over this small nation state that's acting like a victim, is causing this problem to my right here. This problem. Listen to what he says. Listen to the offense that he has over. Just it's offensive listening to how offended he is.
Hundreds of people in New York came out to attack the survivors of the Nova Party. There was one man who lost both his daughters at the party, and he has to walk through the crowd in New York celebrating the murder of his daughters. Why, if you agree with the obvious statement that October the 7th was the biggest slaughter of Jews since the Holocaust, some people have had the ability to say that. Why have so few people had the ability to say, okay, then who are the Nazis? And why are there so many of their supporters in our midst?
Oh boy. All right. Question. Anything? Any point?
It's just, man. Okay, I get the point. Yes, it's uncomfortable to have to walk through people protesting against the nation that you think represents your race, right? Again, this is a problem with an ethno-state. That nation does not represent your race. You shouldn't think of it that way, in a positive way or a negative way, because inevitably they're going to do something negative. But again, like, okay, it's uncomfortable, but this is not oppression. You know, if someone disagrees with what the nation that you like is doing, that is not oppression. It's a disagreement.
Did you hear the tactics he used? He was attacked. I'm sorry, he was physically attacked. Do you not like? Do
He
you
got
hear
slowed down on his way?
right? Like,
yeah.
I'm sorry. Remember words? Was it words or violence now and all that? He was attacked by demonstrators who celebrated. Do you hear? Like, I'm not agreeing what the celebration. I'm admonishing the celebration, to be completely honest. And if I were out there and I could, I'd just be counter protesting, wouldn't you? You know what I mean? If that's what my deal was, I'd be like, no, you're stupid for thinking this is okay. Right?
Yeah.
But he just said they were attacked. I mean, you don't understand, Jason. They were attacked. I mean,
I gotta
brutally attacked with demonstrators.
I gotta take 1 minute. Can you keep it going for a second?
Yeah, absolutely. All right, guys. So what we have here, we got a little Douglas Murray action. I'm going to play another clip, so we'll keep it going. Once again, guys, we're right approaching 100. I'll let you know when we get there. We're right there. Thank you for joining us. Woke Right Part 2. This thing is crazy. I know. I don't think I've cursed once. Well, I don't think I've dropped the F-bomb yet. Anybody in chat? Anyone keeping tabs on me? I think I'm right. I think I'm still at 0. I think I've been a good boy. I think I said like that once, but I think it's been good. We hit 100. All right. Woo! Ba, 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 ba. Thank you, guys. You guys are awesome. All right. I'm going to keep it going. We're going to play the next clip here, and then I'll let Jason know. He's been watching these guys. So here is Murray on Mar. I will not apologize for loving life. Here we go.
Israel, the way I see it, and I think you do too, is on the front lines of a much wider war. And when you talk about that war, people on the left call you an Islamophobe. because they see multiculturalism. They say we're all part of the same, and we all part of the same humanity, but cultures are different. And I think that is the theme that you've worked on for a very long time, that Western values are different than other values that other cultures have, and in the ways we like to think, better.
Yeah, I mean, most people in the West, in free countries like America, seem to think that what we have is the natural order of things. We behave like fish in water. We just don't realize this is what we're swimming in. But it's actually very unusual what we have. And one of the lines I try to draw in this book is the democracies, the liberal democracies that we enjoy, some groups, some people, they don't want that. They want something totally different. We have principles in our societies like prioritizing the importance of life. We love life. The jihadists say, Hassan Nasrallah of Hezbollah, the leaders of Hamas, they said repeatedly, the infidel love life, and that's their weakness. And they say that because they, by contrast, what I call the death cults, they worship death. They glorify death. They're hungry for death. They're hot for death. They glorify in it. And they believe that by terrorizing us, by terrorizing Israel with this boast, we love death more than you love life, that they will intimidate us. They'll defeat us. And I say we have to take this on. We have to believe them, that when they behave as they did in Israel on October the 7th, when they behave as they did at the Bataclan in Paris or the Ariana Grande concert in Manchester, we should believe that they mean what they say. They really do want death. And then, of course, there are two things. One, of course, we can do what we can to help them. And the second thing is we can say, you know, we will not apologize for loving life.
I'm very serious.
I kept the entire applause in there just because, once again, per Justin's point, the 25% right there. That's exact. Did you hear the way he lulled us? And well, these people, they all just want to die. So we just have to
love death. We'll give it to them.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. They hate us for our love of life. Is that our new freedom?
Our freedoms.
Right. Is that our new freedom, everybody? Do you do you hear them testing the waters? Like, if you can't make out that there is a systematic push by a specific group of people who have been called out, who have been funded by this other group of people to spread this thing right now, to push for the thing that actually Trump said no to, by the way. Do you remember 2 weeks ago, you and I'm like, I'm waiting for Dave to apologize because we're literally on the doorstep of Iran. And then this report comes out where Trump says no. He said no to Bibi. And it's not really out there, but he did. No one's talking about it, but kudos for now that he values life over stupid, blind ideology. Stupid ideology is unnecessary.
Yeah, that's at least one good thing. No war with Iran yet. We'll see if he keeps on that. Yeah, the whole thing is just like Douglas Murray is trying to frame this as everyone on that side is a monster. All they want is death. That's all they want, and we'll give it to them. It's just like that just is not true. I cannot accept that. They do not want death. People that have attacked the United States, the people that do the terrorist attacks, the Pulse nightclub, Keith Knight loves to talk about this. The guy that shot up the Pulse nightclub was a Muslim, was an Arab. He was not mad because people were in a gay club or anything like that. He wasn't mad at our freedoms. He was mad. He said on the 911 call, you have to stop bombing. You have to stop attacking us in the Middle East. This needs to stop. This needs to stop. That is the reason. The reason that they're so pissed off is we are trying to control them. You know what? Maybe they won't have a free society, but we cannot control the whole world. It just doesn't work.
when I take a step back now, if people don't know, Douglas Murray's first book, I believe, and once again, you said it last week, Lindsay had people had called out Douglas Murray and called him a neocon for like a week after the whole Rogan thing, right? And Lindsay's like, what do you mean? How dare you call him a neocon? Douglas Murray wrote a book in 2005, and the title is Neoconservatism, Why We Need It. That I don't think you could be clearer what his agenda is when he wrote a book called Neoconservatism, Why You Need It. And if you can't put together that neoconservatism is long for neocon, I definitely have stuff I can sell you. So
Yeah, man, it doesn't make sense. The whole real problem is that you just come at it with these stupid ass arguments. You come at it with, you're not an expert. Speaking of not an expert, oh God, this guy is not an expert. Oh God, is this guy?
Hey guys, hold on. We found a rare non-intellectual woke right. We had to sprinkle this in, guys. If you have not seen this yet, please, Jason, set it up. We've listened to Douglas Murray, Konstantin Christen, all these beautiful intellectuals, the way they form their words and their thoughts and their words. And then we have...
If you're not seeing the video right now, if you're just listening to it, this is the actor, Michael Rappaport, actor/comedian, Michael Rappaport. He's about to tell us why we should not listen to a comedian about anything.
Justin wrote, maybe the book was satire. I assure you, Justin, the book was not satire because he was on both sides, Iraq 2, Afghanistan. But we can talk about that. It's another conversation for another day. But Michael Rappaport, this is what I wish our debaters would sound more like and less like Douglas Murray, because I think they get eviscerated even if they had good points, right? All right.
Yeah.
But if an expert, do I have to?
But we're going to try.
But if I came on Joe Rogan, I was like, Joe, I'm an MMA fan. I've never been in a ring. He would say, have you ever, like worked out MMA? No. But do I have to do it to be an expert? Do I have to actually spar MMA? Can't I just... It's my opinion.
No,
I've talked to some fighters, and my brother and I, we used to pillow fight. Joe, my brother would use the heavy pillow, and when he hit me with that heavy pillow a couple times, it hurt. So I know what it's like to get hit in the head. Not like by John Jones, but I know what it's like to get hit in the head. But Joe, listen, I'm thinking, because my brother, after we would have pillow fights, sometimes we would do the choke out game where I would let him choke me to sleep. And then he'd wake me up and I'd laugh and I'd be like, oh my God, that was so crazy. And then afterwards we'd continue fighting or wrestling or doing what we do. I think Joe Rogan, when these fighters get choked out, tap them awake, give them a standing 8 count. If they want to keep fighting, let them keep fighting. Wouldn't that be so exciting, Joe? Wouldn't the crowd go crazy if one fighter gets choked out, you give them a standing 8 count, then they come back and win? Joe Rogan would be like, what the are you talking about? You have no idea what you're talking about. Have you ever been choked out? No. Have you ever been in a UFC cage? No. It's just my thoughts. It's my ideas. It's my opinion. Joe Rogan would be like, what the? He wouldn't. The conversation would be over.
Yeah. Look, again, these people are not exactly wrong. On the surface, these people are not wrong. We look at them and we're like, oh, what the hell are you talking about, dude? But okay, yeah, if you came in and said some stupid shit about MMA and you didn't know what you were talking about, then of course Joe Rogan would be like, yeah, what the hell are you talking about? You're an idiot. But if you come in and make a reasonable argument and say, hey, I think this shit about Israel is kind of fucked up. It's kind of bad. Maybe we should talk about it. Maybe we should rethink our strategy here. And if you cannot counter that with your expertise, with all your having been there, you better come with a good argument why he's wrong. You better shut him down, and he can't. He didn't do it.
Yeah. So now that you actually gave me a little grace for him, I don't know how you did this, but I'm going to try to steel man his argument right now.
Yeah, please.
Here's the thing that people are jumping. There is a rule in place that if you get choked out, it's over. Now, if he walked in and said, Joe, there's a rule that choking out is ends the fight. I don't think that should end the fight. I think they should change the rule to where he gets 5 points lost or something and has to actually knock the other guy out or something to win the fight, to win back or choke back to get the points back or something. Now he comes at like from that angle. Now we've got an argument to discuss, right? But him to say what he said the way he said that isn't, as what's his face from the morning show says, cogent. Right? It's
He's
just
cogent.
not an
He's the
active
most cogent I've ever
argument to
seen.
say that's stupid that a guy gets knocked out. Now, once again, hello, that is in the rules, Michael, currently. So like the reason you're an idiot about it is because you're like not talking about can we amend the rules? You're saying regardless of the rules, we should do that, which sounds really stupid considering that's not how you entered the arena. Like they jump parts of their argument to make it fit, and it doesn't. There's no continuous argument that just works, unfortunately. And I don't want anyone to be hurt. I don't want hostages starving and not getting their medicine and that they've died. But I also don't want 3 that put up a flag saying we are hostages get gunned down for target practice by the Israeli Defense Force. I don't want ambulance full of 15 people getting gunned down for no reason. The flower massacre. I don't want another flower massacre. Excuse me. I'm sorry. These things are all like, they're not making it easy. They're not making the argument easy to help. Like they're not helping us help their argument, you know?
Yeah. It's also super interesting because there was one guy that's been going after Dave saying like, oh shit, what was the argument? Like, you don't understand the rules of war. You don't understand like
Spencer,
war.
John Spencer. I've been on that one.
Yeah. Yes.
I watched him on Piers.
Like we're not talking about the same thing. We're not like, we are talking about morality. We're not talking about the law. The law can be all kinds of fucked up. Everyone should know that.
And it can change. Once again, the law is never a fixed thing either, but a moral stance generally is a principled stance. Has a foundation.
Right.
To your point.
So you're coming at it from a principle. It's not the law. The law should not be your principle. The law should be based on principle, perhaps, if you're going to have a law. But the law is not principle. That's a big mistake.
Yeah, and that's the point. It's John Spence or Spencer, something like that. Go ahead, look it up. What I can do is this: go type in Piers, Spencer, Smith, and Eric Weinstein's on that. I'm sorry, Eric Weinstein is on that one as well. And they all talk about it. But listen to, he goes, well, you don't understand the nature of war and and once again, Thane, thank you for bringing it up. LOAC, was it a law of something combat? What you're allowed, law of allowable combat, and you're like, yes, we're superseding this with like where we're looking at it from a much different thing. You guys are putting these laws in place and seeing whether he's violated them or not. But once again, he was on Piers, and then Dave goes like this, real simple dispense. Oh, so I guess the IJCC one up against BB doesn't count, and he skates right out. He doesn't address it. That one out that they have BB for war crimes too, everybody. It's not just the Hamas or Hamas. Sir, you wanted to include this one because you felt this was extremely important. So I'd love for you to share, what your thoughts were on this one, and then we'll play it for everybody.
Yeah. So the one after this is going to be Gadsad talking directly to Douglas Murray. But before he did that, he put out this. He put out a little episode or whatever, a video of himself talking about, hey, maybe Douglas Murray didn't quite approach this in the right way. So that's why I wanted to contrast the two of these things. So that's what he's about to talk about here.
Excellent. And I do want to say, Thane just jumped in. It's law of armed conflict.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
So
Zach says Rappaport is like the celebrity Constantine Kissin. That's funny.
He is like a celebrity Constantine Kissin. So excellent. So, oh my gosh. Wow. Thank you so much, guys. We've had a few people follow us today. So thank you so much for joining us on a Monday night. We're over 100. We're at 100, approaching 110 already. I think we had 180. Maybe we can get there this week. But man, it's been awesome. We've got about 30 minutes left, so we don't go over, because I want to AI clip this thing for once. We went 2 seconds over last time, guys. I almost turned my computer into a Frisbee. It's all my fault. I take full accountability, but I don't want to talk for less than 2 hours with Jason, but we have to do it for posterity reasons, so we can get clipping. But okay, so once again, credentialism. So are you ready for this one, sir? All right,
hit it.
So obviously I'm a fan of his work, but I thought that the manner by which he handled you don't have the credentials to speak about this. I understand the reflex. Yes, it is true that Joe Rogan invites people where they're able to air out ludicrous ideas. But my more general point was, look, free speech absolutism is about, being able to handle the fact that people are going to be falsehood spreaders, imbeciles, liars, bigots, and so on. But I understand the reflex. What's the point of using your huge forum to allow people to air out complete nonsense? But I thought it would have been probably better if he just said, here are 10 things that you guys espoused, and let me address how each of them is complete nonsense, rather than saying, we need historians to talk about these positions, or people who have the right credentials. I think that's the wrong reflex to have. I think it's much better to judge people based on the ideas that they espouse. And
Okay, so pretty reasonable, right? Yeah, he's obviously on the side of Murray, but he is on the side of free ideas, as am I. Just like a free market. Yes, people are going to try to cheat you. People are going to try to steal and try to game the system, obviously. But when you introduce controls from a government, then it causes more problems. Just the same as with free speech. You want, there's going to be people who try to manipulate, try to lie, try to share a message that leads you to a conclusion that isn't real, or that causes you to do something that you wouldn't otherwise normally want to do. Yes, that's going to happen. That's a risk. There's no perfect. There is no perfect. You got to keep listening. You got to understand that when you go and listen to a podcast, you got to understand that not everybody is there to be honest. Not everyone is there to try to make things better for everyone. So you have to recognize those patterns when they happen. But to try to shut things down, that's not creating a good environment.
Definitely not. So he talks about being open. He talks about accepting. Now, this is where I think he's like one of these semi-Peterson-y, because as he talks to Murray, we'll watch him
and
talk
on his
about
Twitter,
how,
when he posted this video, he specifically said, hey, I might not quite agree with Dave Smith, but I would really like him to be able to speak. He said something like that. So yes. I think that's very important in the context of this next clip.
It is absolutely. And once again, of the group, Saad is oddly in this weird middle part that I'm not sure where to put him yet, but I know that he was a Mossad agent in the past, self-admitted. Yeah. So it's like really hard to be like, boy, I wonder where his heart lies, considering, he was legitimately oppressed as a people. He was directly oppressed as a person. So like, yes. I totally know his history and stuff. So
his history, if people don't know, he lived in Lebanon. That's where he grew up. He was actually like forced to flee the country because Islamic terrorists or whoever took over Lebanon and forced all the Jewish people and all the Christians out. And if they didn't go, they killed them. So that's not a moot point. That's, something very relevant to the conversation. So understand where he's coming from. I understand why he supports Israel. But I guess we'll see the clip and we'll see what he's about to say.
Yeah, we'll definitely play this. And to your point, if it's Lebanon in the 80s, I'm very familiar with that because my mom's hairdresser was Lebanese and they escaped. And they played a cassette tape. They put a radio on their balcony overnight and they just played a cassette tape or recorded. And all you heard was gunfire and explosion all night. And then the actual thing got hit by a bullet, the radio, and but the tape was intact. like it broke the radio or whatever. So yeah, they had a tape that was like literally that was a Tuesday. You know what I mean? It's like that's not something Americans are very familiar with, everybody. I mean, let's not welcome that, right? Like that's not fun. So
Yeah.
I'll hit this for us.
I mean, the main gist of your point is, why do you bring these idiots who are spouting all kinds of nonsense? And so I put out a clip, and feel free to completely disagree with me here, although I suspect you might not. It was a very, very gentle critique. I can be quite spicy, but I have
critique of me or of Joe.
No, it was me. So let me summarize what it was. I start off with Douglas Murray's coming on my show. I'm a huge fan of his work. We probably agree on 100% on all points. I couldn't imagine a better ally. I might have chosen a different stylistic choice in how I tackled Joe. I am appearing on his show. I might not want to sort of, although your moral indignation is perfectly justified, just the stylistic choice is one where you might lose some people that you otherwise want on your side because you made that. That was the entirety of my criticism of Douglas Murray. Otherwise, 100% on board with him.
Yeah. So he softens it a little bit there. He was very much against this credentialism, this, oh, you haven't been there. You're a comedian. What do you know? What do you think?
Yeah, so he softens it, but it's like his critique is how he approached Joe to shut Dave down.
That,
I mean,
yes.
is that literally what I see? Like, once again, guys, we're looking through the BS. Okay, everyone puts up a veil. We're all kind to each other. There's a need for it. We should be kind to each other, but there's a reality. There's like a genuineness. But the way he said that, reason I clipped that is the way he said that is like, don't you think there was a better way for you to convince Joe to shut Dave down?
Yes, yes.
That's what it felt like. It did not feel like he shouldn't have been shut. You should have let him speak. You should have addressed it. You should have done it. The critique was not with the debate. And Peterson will show clips later, not with the debate issue, but the way he handled Joe. What? Joe's responsibility?
Joe needs to be handled. You don't understand.
Right.
You don't understand.
Yeah. So that's what I kind of took from that versus that. What did you think?
Yeah, I was about to say that exactly. That was a very key point in that video. Like, oh, we must handle Joe Rogan. We must get him on the right track. And that's what this all feels like, is like people coming in and saying, hey, Joe, you're having the wrong people on your podcast. We're going to come in and gently suggest that you not do that. But what comes next? I wonder what's going to happen. What's the consequences if you don't?
Exactly. So once again, I'm just going to play this clip. We got a couple more with him, and then we'll get to Peterson. I'll burn through these. Just let me your thoughts after we play this one, and I'll play the next one after. Okay.
Yeah. All right.
I had to say this, Gad, because somebody had to.
You had to. Someone has to.
So many people owe their celebrity or whatever to going on Joe Rogan's podcast or being invited to his comedy stage. But I offered him a critique of what he's doing, and he can either, I suppose, accept what I think was friendly criticism, or he can double down. And I would love it if he accepted the friendly criticism and actually invited on people who could clean up some of the slurry that some of his previous guests have pumped around.
Yeah, just the idea, man. Like, I would never dream of going on someone's show and being like, what guests do you have on? That is ridiculous. Like, I could never go on somebody's show, especially the biggest show in the entire country, and say, I'm concerned about the kind of guests you have on. I would never do that. I would never, even if I was the biggest, even if I was Douglas Murray or bigger, I wouldn't. No, I would never do that. It's shameful.
He's burned his bridge already to the point where Joe mocked him.
Mm-hmm.
Right there, he should post that and go, you know what? I've been an ass or something, made a joke about himself, and
Mm-hmm.
all this goes away. He says that Joe doubled. When has Joe made a statement? You've tripled down, sir. You've quadrupled down on a losing side of a non-argument. Like literally, he has and he's once again, you are the one doubling down as I double down. I'm doubling down on my stance that you are doubling down, sir. What game are we playing here, man? What friendly advice? He could take it? You're kidding me. You're talking about Joe Rogan friendly advice on a podcast. He might come to you about writing a book, buddy. You don't come to him about you don't talk to him about his podcast, what he's missing on his podcast. Like,
Yeah.
and this has nothing to do with Joe Rogan, whether you like him or not. These are statistics and facts of his draw as a podcaster.
Because no one, okay, maybe not no one, but you know what I mean. No one's going to Joe Rogan's podcast and be like, hey, I'm going to learn the truth today. Like, I'm going to learn the truth about the whole world and all the existence of the universe. No, you're going to hear an interesting opinion. You're going to hear somebody he talks about all kinds of stuff. The MMA thing, like Constantine called that out in his stupid article. Like, oh yeah, Dave doesn't go and talk about MMA, which he does, by the way. They do talk about MMA, but that's beside the point.
Yep, and Dave did address it.
They go to have different conversations. They go to talk about things that aren't talked about in the mainstream. That is why Joe Rogan is popular, because he's good at it. He can ask questions and keep the conversation going and talk about anything. They can talk about whatever the hell. They can talk about aliens. They can talk about DMT. They can talk about any stupid thing. And he will be just fine. It's not that we're getting to the truth of everything. They just want to talk. They want to hear interesting ideas, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. And the total BS of it is the woke left held these people down, this exact group of people that are attacking Joe. The woke left, the corporate legacy media that was in existence before it died and is withering off the vine right now, they held this group down. They needed a voice. Joe was beyond gracious in offering them a voice. Why? Because it was different than what the corporate legacy dying media was telling everyone. That's what their allure was, is that it was different than what the crap we're being fed. That is what Joe does. Joe loves ideas. And when the ideas thought, he goes, what else we got? Like and that's what we should all be doing, by the way, anyway.
And he never fully takes
all over science. The science means prove everything wrong. The science is designed. Your best what is it? Your best find or whatever, your best conclusion is when you're found wrong. Because it's definitely not that. That's not a bad thing. Like, you don't hold your ego to it. You go, great. We figured out that it's not that. Like, awesome. Like, it's just we attach ourselves to these things so much. And once again, it's just like, anyway, this is what they use. And now they're using the same tactic. Now they're going at Joe, telling him to shut down other voices that aren't agreeing with this other group, that are an offshoot of this other group.
Yes. So, and I just can't imagine ever doing that. Because like when you try to shut voices down, that makes them more interesting, you know? When you try to say like, hey, you cannot listen to Dave Smith. You cannot listen to Ian Carroll. You cannot listen to Daryl Cooper, whoever it is. People are gonna be like, oh, I mean, if you're intellectually curious at all, you're gonna be like, oh, why? What did they say? Maybe I got to hear it for myself. So you're gonna make people like I just said. I didn't really care to listen to Daryl Cooper's thing. until this happened. And now I'm like, maybe I got to listen to it and figure out what he's talking about. And I've seen Daryl Cooper say things that I don't agree with. That's fine. But now I want to listen to him more because people are telling me that I can't or I shouldn't.
Right. It's total Streisand effect, Catcher in the Rye, banned books, right? Don't look. Pay no mind, pay no mind to the man behind the curtain kind of thing. It's like, I'm going to look now. Now I got to look, man. You told me not to look. Now I got to look.
Exactly.
All right. So let me play this last one with Sod, and then we'll get to Mr. Peterson.
Oh boy.
God's in the way.
You really don't want to do that.
When it comes to journalistic standards, I noticed that something else is happening. Joe could have acknowledged in the aftermath of that a person like me, who has put in the work, who has done the field work, done the groundwork, and written a book which I don't think Joe has yet had the courtesy to read, but which shows in considerable detail, I'd say, what is a first-hand account of a conflict. I think that there should be a basic realization that in journalism, it is a norm to actually go to a place and report. And that is seen as being a good thing. It isn't to be laughed about or derided. And it isn't to be seen as being on the same level as somebody who has taught themselves by reading Wikipedia and anything that confirms their own biases.
It's Wikipedia.
My closing thesis, man. He played the victim and attacked in the same statement.
Yep.
Me bringing up that he has no knowledge shall not be mocked. My brains are not there to be derided and to be laughed at. No, your prickness does. Your condescension, your absolute arrogance needs to be mocked, my friend. That's what we're mocking.
Yeah, man, it's the worst. It's the worst way to approach a problem. If you really think you're on the side of the righteous, this is not the way to do it. Because you spent the first 45 minutes of that conversation with Dave on Joe Rogan talking about expertise and how you haven't been there and just showing utter contempt for even sharing space with a comedian. You've invalidated the rest of your arguments. People will see that. People who are honest with themselves will see that and just be like, oh, this guy's just kind of a dick. and maybe the rest of what he says is also just coming from that same place. You're being a dick. And I don't really care. And maybe he's right. He could be, I don't think so, but he could be 100% right about his claims about Israel and Ukraine and all that. He ruined it. He ruined it by the way he approached the problem.
Right. Well, what's funny is when we agree with him, of course, there's no issue. It's when we disagree with him, the way he treats it, and he doesn't treat it well.
Yeah.
He doesn't treat losing well.
Yeah.
And people lose, man. We all lose in this game. And
I go back to the monk debate that he did. I don't know if you ever saw this. He did a monk debate. He was on the team with Matt Taibbi against Malcolm Gladwell and some other lady. I don't know who she is.
Yeah, she was a New York Times or Michelle something. Is that the one?
Yeah.
She's usually one that's an oppressor.
The argument was whether or not we should trust mainstream media. And Murray and Taibbi were on the side of no, we should not trust them. And so it's so crazy to see him come at it with this argument of credentialism, of trusting these people who are, they're journalists. It's so crazy because he was so against it in that instance.
Yeah. And once again, he talked standards. You heard standards in Murray's, right?
Yeah.
Murray and Sod standards. Now here's Peterson. Now we get to a new player jumps in this week, boys and girls. And not only does he go crazy in some other weird, he's subtle on this, But then he goes into this crazy psychopathy thing about people who have a faith. And if you have not heard any of this yet, guys, we got 120 people on. Thank you so much. Last week we had over 180, 300 people over 2 weeks. Thank you. That is absolutely amazing. We're so grateful for joining us. We're so thankful. You have any questions about this before I play this clip there, Jason?
We're going into Jordan Peterson. For people that are not aware, this happened a few days, maybe the week after the Douglas Murray versus Dave Smith thing. They ran in. It seems like they're running in all these people to cover for Douglas Murray. So here's Jordan Peterson making his case.
Now, last week, we had a little bit harder core. You had Kissin and you had Murray and you had these other guys like a little more heavy, right? A little harder hitters. That didn't work, did it? Because Rogan's like, you're going to combat with me. Like literally, and we're just talking about the crowd that's Rogan, right? The Rogan crowd's like, you want to be combat people with people who admire combat people? Okay, let's fight, right? Like literally, that's how they look at it. Peterson is this milder guy. Now they came with this subtle move. They're like, all right, second wave, we got to call our alert 5 fighters. All right, Peterson, you come in from a flank and we need you to come in at this little subtle angle and not act like you're against Joe, but question how he asks himself why he doesn't censor people. Like he goes like meta, right? Like Joe, I'm not asking you why you don't censor yourself. I'm asking you what your thought process is and why you're not censoring yourself.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. Let me hit this guy. We'll go forward from there.
Go ahead.
How do you identify the psychopathic pretenders? And it's even worse now. And then make a barrier, right? Now, the right was calling for the left to do that for decades. Right. And they didn't, and they couldn't. And the left is not good at drawing barriers, partly temperamentally. The right is somewhat better, but there's no shortage of monstrosity there. And so then the question is, how do you draw the line? And that's kind of what because I've been watching these right-wing, they're not right-wing, these psychopathic types manipulate the edge of the conservative movement for their own gain. Right. And a lot of that's cloaked in anti-Semitic guys. There's plenty of anti-Semitism on the left too, by the way. So it's not unique to the right.
Well, but particularly now.
Yes, particularly now.
Right.
And so, you've let your curiosity guide you, your curiosity and your desire for knowledge, this quest, you've let that guide you as a podcaster. And by the way, I'm trying to work through exactly the same sort of thing. How do you know, given your radical increase in stature over the last 10 years, how do you know when your curiosity and even your skepticism about the fact that things aren't the way that people say they are, because that's certainly been demonstrated in the last 10 years, how should anyone decide what guardrails to put up? Like, what do you look for? Do you have a conceptual system worked out for that? Like,
yeah.
Did you get your bingo? Yeah. Did you guys get your Zionist bingo check card, woke right check card, bingo card for that? Are you ready to check off all the words? Sir, go ahead, please share.
How do you guard yourself against this? How do you do it? How do you guard
yourself against God and not doing it incorrectly?
Don't you know that Israel are the chosen people and everything you say against them just makes you the devil?
I'm trying to navigate between the way that I can sound like an anti-Semite but not sound like a Zionist, but not sound like an not Zionist. But
I'm not trying to tell you that you have to block people from your podcast, but you need to start putting up guardrails.
What? I mean, seriously, now that you're big and all, because when you were little, no one listened to you, but now that you are the big thing that we want to censor everyone else out of and gatekeep out, it's like, come on, man. Like, now, Did you hear, how early did he throw in anti-Semitism? Early. The word anti-Semitism, everyone play that back. You'll listen, you'll hear it. It's early. Why? What does anti-Semitism have to do with the point he's trying to make there? He's just talking about how, like, why?
Okay,
just general guardrails.
Let me take one take on this. everyone took that psychopath's comment and ran with it and said he's calling Dave Smith, he's calling these people psychopaths. I will give him a little bit of grace and say that he was talking about people like Nick Fuentes, people like groypers. I think I understand that word now. I still don't really know what it means, but people that don't like Jews, I guess. He's talking about them. So, okay, fine. Maybe those people are psychopaths.
And I'll share that in a second.
Okay.
No, go ahead. Keep going, because you have a point, but I remember rabbit hole, my friend. I had a little more time.
I'll give him a little bit of grace. Maybe it's not deserved, but I want to take people for their word. He did not mention specifically anyone in that context, and I listened to the whole thing. I listened to the whole hour around it. He did not mention Dave. He did mention Dave and said that, yeah, they did a good job. But other than that, he didn't mention him. In this context, he didn't say, the libertarians, the people that are anti-war, he did not say those were psychopaths. I think he's talking about the people who are legitimately anti-Jew, anti-Israel, and all that.
I'll talk. Let me play the psychopath clip, because you are correct. I will say this. On the Rogan podcast specifically, he does not do what you said. He does not say XYZ or psychopaths. He speaks of how it gets corrupted through psychopathy, but there's a deeper point there, and he's gone down a different hole lately with Candace Owens this week. And I don't know if you followed that with the Crisis King thing.
Okay.
That's where the crisis.
I'm excited to see this. Yeah.
Yeah. Now there's new information. Let me play the Rogue one. But you are correct in the story of specifically that thing. You know what? Yeah, and specifically in that thing, that's where it's at. You are correct in that assessment of it. So if you want to once again read that comment from the
Auto 8110, Groyper means Nick J. Fuentes fans. Okay. I'll take you for your word. I really don't know. For a long time, I've been seeing that word, and I just have not cared to really figure out what exactly it means. I know it has some anti-Jewish context, but that's really all I know.
Yeah. And when I share the Peterson stuff, we'll have to talk. Maybe we should do that next week, because that's a fun controversy as well. But let me hit this guy for the Rogan comment.
I think that virtualization has enabled the psychopaths.
Without a doubt.
Yeah, well,
without a doubt.
That's a terrible thing, because the psychopathic types, they're always the death of everything. Like I'm seeing this come up on the right now. So imagine this. I've been working on a new theory of political psychopathology, and I like it quite a lot.
Is this where the term the woke right comes in?
Yeah, well, Lindsay is pointing at that, but he hasn't got the diagnosis exactly right. So it isn't woke. That's not the issue. It's not exactly.
I think what they're talking about is like similar types of behavior.
He is talking about that. Yeah, no, what he's pointing.
Woke just lets you clarify in your head. Oh, it's like that.
Yeah, but the problem is.
It's like Antifa.
Yeah, absolutely. But the problem is that argument is predicated on the claim that the ideas are the problem, like the woke ideas, for example, on the right or the left. But that's not the problem. The problem is that 4 to 5% of the population, something like that, is cluster B. That's the DSM-5 terms: histrionic, narcissistic, antisocial, psychopathic, or they have dark tetrad traits. They're Machiavellian, they're sadistic. That's about 4%. Okay, so the question is, how do these people maneuver? And the answer is they go to where the power is, and they adopt those ideas, and they put themselves even on the forefront of that.
Right.
But the ideas are completely irrelevant.
Right.
All they're doing is they're the Pharisees. They're the modern version of the Pharisees. They're the people who use God's name in vain, right? As they proclaim moral virtue.
Yes.
Doesn't matter whether it's right or left or Christian or Jewish or Islam. They invade the idea space, and then they use those ideas as false weapons to advance their narcissistic advantage.
Yes.
And so then you have the problem, and the right's going to face this more and more, particularly because the left had to face it when they were in powers.
Yes.
How do you identify the psychopathic parasites, 4% of the population, who are clothed in your clothing and waving your flags, but who are only in it for narcissistic benefit.
All right, so there's the Jordan Peterson clip about the narcissistic benefit. Now, I'm going to make the argument the group that we're seeing, most of them, not Murray, but most of them, like I think the Lindsays and many of them they weren't on the right. They're the people who said the left left them. And the left left them. That's what happened. So this election, this Trump-Tardian election that we had, that was due to the Democrats literally pushing out, getting so ridiculous that they pushed out everybody that had any sanity. And now within this group, these are not aligned people. They are big groups within this other side that just got ejected by idiots. And now they're coming to this prominence. And that's why they're not actually wearing our flags and waving our flags. They got their own agenda. They just happened to go along with this group because it was not that one. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I came in a little late to that, but I think you're right. From what
I
I heard,
watched it before. It's about the psychopaths and how basically they blend in. And look, social media has made it easy because you can be anonymous almost and be famous. Cat turd.
Yeah, no kidding.
Cat tard.
That
I mean,
dude.
I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I said the wrong thing.
Yeah, man. So I think the psychopaths he's talking about are more of the people that are anti-Jew. But the weird thing that I don't get, and maybe you have an idea on this, is just why Christians are so defensive of Judaism. Why?
The quick stab is
why is Israel our greatest ally?
It's the foundation of. I think Christians in their core have a foundation in Judaism. So I think they see themselves as brothers. They might not believe in Jesus being the second coming. That's the Jewish thing. They don't believe that, but they both have the same God. Really, technically, they have the same monotheistic God. They just claim that Jesus was the son of that, and Jews don't. That's part of it. Secondly, is remember this is a nation state created by Eastern Europeans after World War II from a displaced people who were victimized. It was not an Israel Jerusalem up movement to create a nation state. It was people in Europe wanting a nation state for Israel people, or for Jewish people. That's allegedly there's this thing about DNA testing. They won't let you take a DNA test because you won't be found Jewish. You're going to be Eastern European. You're not going to be Jerusalem Jew. And I've heard that story. It's a very interesting thing. I have not looked into it, but I've heard it. I'm only sharing it as an anecdote, not as fact, to be clear.
Yeah.
But these are very interesting things. Remember, Madagascar in 1930 was asked before the slaughtering of all the Jews in Germany. In 1930, they could have gone, I hate to say they and push, like we could have taken them in too. America should have taken them in before World War II, to be completely frank, but we didn't because we're stupid idiots. But no, we took all the scientists after or something, whatever. Anyway, it's like, it's weird. But anyway, any final thoughts on that? We got two more quick clips, hopefully, and then we can call it a day, sir.
Let's keep moving because we're almost up against 2
hours.
I know,
we're right against it. All right, we got Harris. This is Harris and Murray. If you want to set up real quick.
Yes, Douglas Murray also went on the infamous Sam Harris talking about. I actually forgot what they're talking. It's
all
about.
Right, let's play it.
It's about the Dave Smith thing. Go ahead.
Yes,
get into it.
All right, let's do it.
Dave Smith's non-expertise is a complete failure to appreciate the reality of jihadism and just what Israel is actually dealing with in Hamas.
I believe that it's also a strain of anti-Americanism and anti-Westernism, which is a belief that nobody in the world can do something wrong and bad unless we have somehow pushed them to it.
Yes, this is Noam Chomsky's gift to our politics.
Yes. It used to be on the left, and now it's on the right as well.
Nobody's saying that.
It's a profound and deep anti-Americanism, which I cannot sign up for.
Cannot.
I will not. Profound anti-Westernism. I completely reject this, and I reject it for many reasons. But one is that riding shotgun with the claim that only the West, only America can lead anyone to do bad things is what you rightly identify, Sam, as the utter inability to recognize that some people seek
Can you talk
utterly
faster,
different
Douglas?
things than we do.
All right, man. I'm going to set up the other clip. Please present your thoughts on that one.
God, no. No one is saying that everything in the world is America's fault. But America is the global empire that kind of tries to control everything, right? And they don't do a good job. They don't do good things around the world. So yes, being anti-American government is very logical. It's very reasonable.
When we look back at history, we haven't won since World War II. We've intentionally gone into losing conflict after losing conflict. We've been a unipolar power since 1991. It is on us. We took it upon our shoulders to be them. Therefore, we get criticism for it. It's my freaking money, mine. And I think I got through a whole podcast without cursing. So
yeah,
let's set this.
There seems to be this idea that, like, if you think that Israel does bad things, then you cannot also believe that Hamas is bad. You cannot also believe that Islamic terrorism is bad. They're both bad. They both do bad things.
Yes.
That is not that should not be a hard concept to grasp.
Hamas is a terrorist group and Israel is a terrorist nation. Okay. So there we go. How about that? Perfect.
All right.
It's just a bigger scale. So, sir, thank
and
you,
the
everyone.
United States is above
people.
them all as the biggest terrorist in the world.
Yeah, exactly. So we had 130 people. This is over. Woke right, part 2. I'm done. I'm sick of talking about it. We had to end on a fun note. Please, sir, before you call it a night, please give them all your socials, how we can follow you and everything.
Hey, follow me on X at Drop the Mask Pod. Go to my locals channel, dropthemaskpod.locals.com. Subscribe to me there, please. You can get all the stuff for free, but if you do want to support me, it helps keep me going. And Anarcho Caffeinated, I'm trying to get on a schedule, but it tends to be weekend mornings. I did one yesterday. Find it on my podcast feed. It's fun. It's just casual, but If by Whiskey, that's been the main thing lately. Mark, tell us about yourself.
Just go to If by Whiskey. It's just been this great collaboration with you, Jason. Anarcho Caffeinated is a great show, guys. Go watch. There's 5 of them now. Just watch them all in order. It's great. We leave you with Rowan Atkinson. We're going to go right into the finale after this so we can clip this.
Mr. Bean.
Thank you so much to everyone who...
Wait. Do you think Mr. Bean has ever been to the Middle East?
Mr. Bean has ever been. Hello. Everybody, thank you so much for joining us. I'm going to go right into the exit after this. Thanks, guys. You guys have a great night.
That is what you might call the new intolerance, a new but intense desire to gag uncomfortable voices of dissent. I am not intolerant, say many people, say many softly spoken, highly educated, liberal-minded.
I'm only intolerant of intolerance.
I'm only intolerant of intolerance. And people tend to nod sagely and say, oh, yes, wise words, wise words. And yet, if you think about this supposedly inarguable statement for longer than 5 seconds, you realize that all it is advocating is the replacement of one kind of intolerance with another, which to me doesn't represent any kind of progress at all. Underlying prejudices, injustices, or resentments are not addressed by arresting people. They are addressed by the issues being aired, argued, and dealt with, preferably outside the legal process. For me, the best way to increase society's resistance to insulting or offensive speech is to allow a lot more of it. As with childhood diseases, you can better resist those germs to which you have been exposed. We need to build our immunity to taking offense so that we can deal with the issues that perfectly justified criticism can raise.
Have a great night, everybody. Take care.